Okay, so good morning. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to clear up the whole negative thing because negatives are not allowed. I said yesterday we could have them because I didn't want to give you too much at one time. But we're going to correct them with the worksheet that if you're watching the video from home, this was in Thursday's Google Classroom under Thursday. I've got a copy of this. And we're going to I'm going to work these problems for you. If you're sitting here or at home, you can work them with me, or if you've already worked them, you can see if you got it right and if you got it wrong. Don't try, I don't know why kids want to erase. They want to erase all their work. That takes time. Don't do it. Just do this, and that says that's wrong, and then put the correct one next to it. It'll save time. So the first problem that we are going to do is 4m squared n squared times 4n squared. Well, we have to understand this is multiplication, but according to the laws of exponents, if we're dealing with bases, if they're the same base, all we do is add the exponents. But we still have to multiply the big numbers, the coefficients.
Good morning, students and staff. Pardon the interruption. If I can get all the students' attention for just a couple of minutes. Several things I need to cover with everybody. You should have gotten a call last night, but in case you did not, just to let you guys know a couple of things we're doing. We started this morning with breakfast where we'll be taking meals back to the classroom. I would ask students, most of you are extremely responsible, extremely on top of things. Really help us out, help the custodians out. Taking all that food and drink out to the cafeteria is not ideal. So just be helpful with trash. Be diligent to get. If you just take care of your trash, everything will be great. Your road takes care of their own. So just be responsible. There's plenty of trash cans around. If you see an issue, let us know. The sooner we can address it and get it cleaned up, the better. So we will do the same for lunch. So please make sure that you are prepared for that. One thing I do want to note is you all are familiar that we're using the e-hall pass, and that restrooms have a limited number of passes available at a given time. So that means during lunch, restrooms will probably be fairly busy, and you may not be able to get a pass. What we're going to ask you to do is if you need to use the restroom, when you come down to the cafeteria, use the restroom in the commons prior to getting in line and getting your lunch. This will allow you to take care of that and wash your hands before you go to lunch, and then you should be good to go when you get back to class. We will still run the same lunches, and then if you have first lunch, you'll have first, and you have second, you'll have second. We'll just do it kind of in blocks and send people down when we're ready for it. Also, as part of the phone call last night was a reminder that anytime you have any of these symptoms that are possible COVID symptoms, cough, congestion, fever, chills, body ache, similar symptoms to other illnesses that we deal with, you should not come to school. And if you are tested for any reason, you do not come to school until the results of that test come back. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of situations where people are waiting on those test results and they were at school while they were waiting. And then once they found out that they were positive, that ended up having a few more folks have to go home. So please make sure if you are tested for any reason that you do not come to school until you get the results of that test. All you've got to do is bring a note to get your absence excused and allow you to make up your work. So it's not a huge deal. You probably can access a lot of your work in the classroom. So being absent for a day or two while you're waiting on the test results should not put you behind, but you cannot come to school while you are waiting on that. The last thing I'll mention is with the morning arrival. I mentioned this the first day, but I do want to reiterate those of you that are driving or your parents are dropping you off. You need to make the adjustments to be in the building and in your class by 7:35. Starting next week, we will count tardies for first period, and this means those of you that are driving or your parents are dropping you off, you'll start getting detention on your third tardy in the morning, regardless of why you were late. So you know the traffic patterns, and it's time you have to leave. Just get here on time and make sure that happens. If you are a student driver and your vehicle is in the parking lot, you are expected to have a parking pass. We'll be going through the parking lot here over the next few days. If you do not have a parking pass, you will be turned around and sent home. And so make sure if your vehicle is in the parking lot, you have the parking pass. There's lots of people who have paid for theirs and done the responsible thing. So we're not going to let you be here without that. So please make sure you're taking care of it. We've got plenty of spaces. All you got to do is go through the process of doing it and pay that fee. That fee is less than a tank of gas, so you can certainly handle it. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, so if you're watching the video from home, just fast forward through all that after you've heard it the first time. Okay, so We are still multiplying, it's still multiplication. So we have to multiply the coefficients. 4 times 4 is 16. And then after I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and just write my variables m, n, and then go back and see what they should be. When I add my m's, I only have 1 on the left. I don't have anything on the right, and it's an m squared, so it stays m squared. But my n, I have a 2 and a 2, so that is an n4. So the answer to that would be 16m squared, A. Okay? Now let's do number, did y'all understand that? That was kind of simple. Okay. Number 2, 4x squared, y squared, times 3x4, y4. Again, all I have to do is multiply my coefficients, gives me a 12. I've got an x and a y. I'm going to add my exponents. X has a 2 and x has a 4. That gives me an x6. Y has a 2, y has a 4, and that gives me a 6. So the answer to number 2 is A. Any questions on that one? Okay, they haven't gotten hard yet. Number 3, 3u3v squared times 2u squared. Okay, again, I'm going to multiply the two coefficients, so I get a 6. I have a u and I have a v. I have a u on the left and the right, so I add those and get a 5. But I only have a v on the left, and it's a square, so I just put my square. So that one would be u5v squared b. So far, so good? Good. Okay. Number 4, 2uv times u3v3. Understand that those on the left still have 1s. If there's nothing there, it's an understood 1. So I've got 2, and there's also no coefficient here, so that's an understood 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. I'm dealing with u and v. u1, 3 is u of 4, and v is a 4. So number 4 is going to be 2u4, v4, which is b. Any questions on that one? Okay. Number 5, 2m times m3 n4. Once again, with the second, on the right side, with the right side, the coefficient is a 1. If there's nothing there, it's an understood 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. I'm dealing with m and n. I have 1 m here, and I have 3 here, so that's m4. N, I don't have any on the left, I only have them on the right, so I have to put the 4 with it. So that would be 2m4 n4, which is B. Number 6. That's a quotient rule on number 6. We're going to be dividing now. U, V over 2, U3V squared. Okay, now pay attention. I'm going to show you how to do something a little bit different than you didn't see this yesterday. So anytime you're dealing with, the reason I'm going to show you this is because it's going to keep you from getting negative exponents. Because if you get negative exponents, you got another step to get rid of them. So we're going to show you how to not even get a negative exponent. So whenever I have a quotient, I want to always put a fraction bar before I ever start doing anything. I'm going to get me a fraction bar put up there. Now I'm going to look at my coefficients. 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and it's a whole number, so it goes on top. Now, how do we handle our variables? Pay very close attention. Look at the u's and ask yourself which u has the higher exponent. And you'll say the one on the bottom, right? That's where the u is going to go. And now you're going to subtract the exponents. 3 minus 1 is a 2. Where is the larger v? On the bottom. So we have a 2 minus a 1, which is a 1. So this is your answer. This is number 6, which is 2 over u squared b, which is d. Does it make sense? If I didn't do that, I would have had negatives like yesterday. But starting today, we cannot ever have a negative again. So if you finish a problem and you have a negative in your answer, I already know it's wrong. Okay, so let's do number 7. 3xy4 over 4y3. Before I do anything, I'm going to get that fraction bar up there so it's ready. Now, 3 over 4 cannot be simplified unless you give me a decimal, and that's not simplified, that's just a different version. If it can't be simplified, just leave it 3 over 4. Because we're not going to be having decimals in this section. No decimals, leave it 3 over 4. Where's my larger x? Well, you might say, well, there's only one x there. That's right. So it's on the top, leave it on the top. We don't have anything to do with it. Where's my larger y? It's also on the top. So I put the y on top, and 4 minus 3 is 1. That is my answer, which is C. Are there any questions on that one we just did? Okay. Number 8. Three mn3 over 4m. All right, before I do anything, I'm going to throw up that fraction bar. I'm always going to put that up before I even look at the problem. If it's a quotient, I'm going to put that up before I ever look at the problem. Now, I see I've got a 3/4. Can't do anything with it, leave it 3/4. Now, my m on the top and my m on the bottom are exactly the same. So if they are exactly the same, they cancel out. Because m over m is 1. It just cancels out. And I have an n3 on top and I don't have 1 on the bottom. I have to leave it on the top. That is my answer, which is A. So far, so good. Y'all with me? Okay. Number 9. 4ba squared over 4b. Okay, before I do anything, get my fraction bar up there. My 4 over 4 equals 1, so it simply cancels out. My larger b, there is no larger b. They're the same, so what happens to them? They cancel out. All I'm left with is an a squared, which is on top, and it has to stay on top. So my answer is a squared, which is C. Does that make sense so far? Okay. And if you'll always do it this way, you'll never end up with negative exponents. So you don't have to worry about fixing them. Because I'm going to show you how to fix them, because you might have a problem that has nothing but negatives and you have to know how to fix them. But if you do it this way, you won't have to go that extra step. And number 10 is xy over 4xy squared. Before I do anything, get my fraction bar up there. Understand there's a 4 on the bottom. That means I have a coefficient of 1 on top, because there's nothing in front of that xy. I can't do anything with 1/4. I leave it 1/4. My x's are exactly the same. They cancel out. My larger y is on the bottom, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So that is my answer, which is A. Hopefully you guys understood what we just did. It takes practice, of course. Today we're going to add another law, the power to a power law. And if you remember with MADS PM, we're now doing this law. So when I have a power to a power, what do you think I do with my exponents? What does this M stand for? Multiply. So when I do a power to a power, I'm going to multiply. Well, this sheet that I gave you yesterday, we only went over one of these, and then I had you add the quotient because for whatever reason they left it out. I'm going to go back to this sheet again because on the bottom it has power rule number 1. Then on the back you have power rule number 2, power rule number 3. So I'm going to show all 3 of those to you. You can refer back to your sheet if you need to after the fact. Power rule number 1 says, if I have a to the 4th and that is raised to the square, power to a power says to multiply. This thing's lagging. So that means I have a to the 4 times 2, which equals a to the 8th. Kind of easy concept. Power rule number 2 says, if they give me a b raised to the 4, that means a is raised to the 4 and b is raised to the 4. It goes to everything inside. And power rule number 3 says if I have an a over b raised to the 4, that means a to the 4 over b to the 4. That's the basic law, and now we're going to work some problems. I think I covered yesterday, did I, anything to the 0 power equals 1? Did we cover that? Okay, remember that. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. So, if I throw a coefficient in along with a variable, let's see how that works. Are you still writing, honey? You done? Okay. So let's say I have 2x squared raised to the 4th. That 4 on the outside goes to everything on the inside. It goes to this 2. So you have to say, what is 2 to the 4th power? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So that gives me a 16x power to a power multiply 8. Question? I'm going to die today. I'm so hot. I thought wearing the sweater because this room's always like ice. It's not like ice today. So I'm going to have to, after I finish teaching, go in my book room. I think I've got some t-shirts in there. Go find me a t-shirt to put on. Okay, so let's let you try one. Do 3x 4y squared all squared. Let's see what you get for that. Yeah? Are you good at math? Naturally? Are all of y'all naturally good at math? No? Okay. I wouldn't either. I really thought it was the dumbest thing I ever heard of when they put the alphabet in. Okay, so on this one, you have to understand that that 3 is also squared. So that would give me a 9x 8y 4. How many got it? Okay. If you didn't get it, hopefully you know why. That's good. Let's try another one. Oh, we're gonna have to do a negative number so I can show you how to handle that. I think I'll do a negative the next one. So really on this next one, just watch me, and then after I'm done, then you can copy it down, but watch me to see if you have questions. Okay? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 3x y squared to the negative 1, okay? So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to go ahead and put that negative 1 with the 3 and the x because they don't have anything. 3 to the negative 1 because it goes to that. X to the negative 1 because it goes to that, right? And then y to the negative 2 because I have to multiply those. Y'all understand how I got everything I got? Now negatives aren't allowed. If you see negatives, you need to go ahead and get a fraction bar put up. In order to change that 3 to the negative 1 to a 3 to the positive 1, it has to go to the other side of the fraction bar. Right now, if I put these with this, they'd all be on the top. Okay? But if I want that 3 to the negative 1 to be a positive, I have to pull that 3 to the bottom. So now 3 is going to go down here. And 3 to the first power is just 3. So I just leave 3. How am I going to pull that x to the negative 1 from up here down? Just put it down there, and that negative 1 becomes positive. And the last one, y to the negative 2, it's up here too. Pull it down. You end up with a y squared. And if you end up with nothing left on top, simply put a 1. And that's your answer. I don't know why the video is lagging, but it is, because right now it's lagging up there too. There we go. The internet must be messed up, so it's lagging. If you guys are watching from home, bear with it. Do you guys understand what I just did with that?
Yes.
So let me show you another pretty cool thing. So watch this. Let's say you have a 3 to the negative 2, x to the negative 1, y to the negative 6 over m to the negative 2, p to the negative 4. Once I see that I've got all those negatives up in there, I'm going to go ahead and get me a fraction bar. Now, in order to make that 3 to the negative 2 positive, I have to pull it to the bottom, and it becomes 3 squared, which is 9. To make that x to the negative 1 positive, I got to pull it to the bottom, and that becomes just an x. Y to the negative 6 positive, pull it to the bottom, it becomes a y6. M to the negative 2 positive, it's got to come up, m squared. And p to the negative 4 positive, it's got to come up, p4.
So you just
Flip
flip them?
them.
Okay.
Flip them. If you don't have, well, that's when you don't have, like if I had an x on the top and the bottom, it would be different. But since I don't have any other variable to match it, I have to do it that way. I'll show you the other thing here in a sec. So let's say I had this instead. Let's say I had 3 to the negative 2, x to the negative 1, y to the negative 6. But down here I had x5, y negative 2. Now watch what happens. I'm going to put my fraction bar up, like I always do. I'm going to make my 3 to the negative 2 positive by bringing it down, which gives me a 9. But I'm going to handle these variables different. Because I have x's on the top and the bottom, I'm now going to say, like I did earlier, which one is the higher exponent? On the bottom. But be careful, because you're subtracting. So that means you have a 5 minus a negative 1. What's 5 minus negative 1? What is it?
4.
6. Because what's a double negative? Positive. So it's 5 plus 1, which is 6. So that would be x6. Where is your larger y at?
Top. Wait. Bottom.
On the bottom, because with negative numbers, the closer they are to 0, the bigger they are.
Yeah.
So now you've got a negative 2 minus a negative 6. Double negative, negative 2 plus 6. What do we get? y4. Nothing's left on top. What do we put? 1. That's your answer. Make some sense? You just got to be careful when you're subtracting a negative. Realize it's double. A lot of kids say, well, then that would be negative 2 minus 6. No, it's not. Because the law says you must subtract the exponents. So it's negative 2 minus what? Minus a negative 6, which creates the double negative. Are you guys cool with this so far?
Mhm.
Okay? Let's try some for you to do. And you at home, you can pause. Well, you don't have to pause the video, I guess, because you can wait as long as they do. Let's do this. Go ahead and try that one. You may not get it right, and that's okay if you don't. You're learning. After I answer this problem, I will stop the video because I think that's enough video, at least for explanation for anybody sitting at home. So I'm gonna wait till I answer this so you at home can see if you got it. But if you need to watch more, just back it up, watch it again, pause, repeat, whatever you have to do until you get the concept. We are going to be, after I finish with my explanation today, and you at home should go into your Google Classroom and you will see what you have to do today. We have several things going on. We have an IXL V.5. You did V.4 yesterday. We have two Delta assignments. So you'll go to Delta, and there will be 2 assignments in Delta. And that would be it. Monday, you're going to have a worksheet that's going to have a problem. I think that's for Monday. It's going to have a problem equals, it's going to give you the answer, but it's going to have whited out one of the exponents. And you have to figure out what the exponent should be in order to get that answer. It's a little higher order thinking. It's going to take you a while, and it's okay. I want you to fully understand the math, and hopefully you'll gain a love for it like I have someday. When I am finished, I will stop the video and I will upload it while the kids here are working on their assignment, and I'll get it uploaded to, I have to upload it to my YouTube channel first, and then I'll share the link in the Google Classroom. Okay, it seems like most of you are done. I'm gonna not talk through it. I'm just gonna put the answer, and then after I do the answer, I'm gonna let you ask me what you need to know. I always start with my fraction bar, just like I told you. Yes.
So I got everything else except for the coefficients.
Okay, because the 2 to the negative 3 was negative. That's negative. Oh, by the way, if this was negative, that doesn't mean you move it. It's got to be the exponent. So I had to bring it down, and so it becomes 2 cubed. What's 2 times 2 times 2? That's 8. And then the 1 to the negative 1 means I got to pull it up, and it's 1 to the 1, which is 1. Don't mistake, if this was a negative 2 thirds, you wouldn't move. Oh, it's not there yet. I don't know why it's lagging. If the coefficient is negative, that's allowed. It's the exponent that's not allowed. There it is. If that was there, that doesn't mean you move this to the other side. That's allowed. It's when the exponent is negative that you have to move it. Okay?